Okay, so I want to take a minute to talk about external parasites and also poisons that can affect small animals. We've talked about internal parasites as far as dogs and cats go, but I want to talk specifically about external parasites as well. First one we're going to talk about are fleas. They're these little brown blood-sucking insects. They're very, very tiny, and they move really fast over an animal's skin. Fleas can develop from eggs into adults as little as 16 days, so they're very quickly maturing. Cat fleas and dog fleas can actually really be determined the best, honestly, in the groin and the rump area. So what you can do, especially if you have a dog that will let you flip it over, you flip them over onto their back and you look at their belly, and in between, kind of like where their leg comes together with their belly, that's where you're going to see them most often. They cause really bad irritation and really bad itching, but you can control them with powders, dips. There's certain shampoos out there. There's flea collars out there you can put on them. Oral insecticides, those are really great. Foggers and sprays, but of course they always have prevention as well. Ticks. Oh, ticks are awful. Ticks are blood-sucking arthropods, and they basically attach themselves to the skin and then suck the blood out of the animal. There's two main families of ticks. There's hard ticks and there's soft ticks. The two types of hard ticks are major reasons for concern on dogs. There's brown ticks. The brown dog ticks can survive actually indoors, so that's kind of terrifying. And the American dog tick lives in grass and on shrubs. So if you've got some shrubs in your yard or places where that's been grown up, that your dog has access to, they can get on them that way. The main soft tick is the Spiros ear tick. The larva and nymph stage of this live in and cause irritation to the outer ear canal. It almost looks like they have ear mites. Lice. Lice are these wingless little insects. They can bite, they can suck blood from their host. They're just awful. They're not really common on dogs, so that's the good news. But if there is an infestation, the dog is going to experience pretty severe hair loss because they're going to be scratching and rubbing at it so much. Two treatments about 12 days apart. You can use a dip, dust, or spray. Can really help control them and settle them down. Mites. Mites are these tiny, 8-legged arachnid-looking things. Okay, so they're in the same family as spiders, but they're significantly smaller. There's 5 species that cause the most problems. The demodectic mites, do not usually cause problems, but a severe infestation can result in hair loss, red skin, and crusty spots, either in individual spots or over the entire body of the dog. There's 2 main types of sarcoptic mites, and they will actually burrow in the outer layer of the skin. They're very highly contagious, so they can be passed from one dog to the other pretty easily. And they can result in mange or scabies, which can cause the animal really intense irritation, a lot of itching, and the dog can actually end up injuring itself if it's trying to scratch, chew, or rub on their skin. This is actually mange caused by one of the sarcoptic mites. Ear mites are highly contagious, and they're found typically in the outer ear canal and other areas of dogs, but typically you're going to find them in the ears. You can also find them on cats and rabbits. Ear mites are a pretty common problem, and infected animals are going to end up shaking their heads quite a bit. Flea products are actually very effective in treating them, as well as there's certain ear drops that'll work as well. And then Chilatea mites are contagious, and they cause a condition known as walking dandruff. And this basically just looks like nasty scaliness on the back, but itching is not as severe as with other mite infestations. That's actually what walking dandruff looks like. So their skin's not red and irritated, it's just flaky and gross looking. Chiggers. Chiggers are orange-red larvas, and it's actually a larva of a particular mite, the Trombicula mite, and it causes this red itchy rash on the belly, the feet, and the legs. You can pick them up from underbrush a lot of times, and they'll actually stay on the skin for a little bit of time. They don't normally require treatment other than something just to stop the itching. So poisons, one of the main ones is insecticides. If it's ingested in sufficient amounts. Organophosphates and carbamate compounds are the main source of insecticidal poisoning. but also boric acid. Boric acid is used a lot of times in roach traps, or arsenic from ant traps can also poison them. So all these different plants, all these nice little plants we like to have in our yard, so philodendron, Dieffenbachia, pothos, caladium, they all contain what's called calcium oxidate crystals, and that actually causes irritation to the mouth and the intestinal tract. Other plants like your poinsettias, your Japanese yews, azaleas, and flower bulbs can also cause mild intestinal upsets. You might get some diarrhea, you might get some vomiting, stuff like that. Household chemicals or cleaners that contain ammonia, bleach, borates, hydroxides, pine oil, and phenol can cause sickness if your pet gets into them. Rodenticides such as your strychnine and warfarin can cause internal bleeding and death if it's ingested sufficiently. Glyphosate herbicides and arsenic-based weed killers can poison pets as well. Probably the biggest one I would think is antifreeze. So antifreeze has this sugary taste to it, and it's got this nice sweet smell, and animals are like, ooh, yummy. But animals will go for it. They just go for it at every opportunity they get. But it's really not good for them at all. If they end up getting into it, they can appear drunk, depressed. It's just not a good thing to keep around if you've got pets. We'll talk about rabbits in the next video.